Shorter camp. Come on now.
And a wetter camp. Elena was asking if it's going to rain today.
Yeah, what's your prediction?
Whatever you need, Boyko. Is that good?
There we go.
That's why we go back to a podium in one day.
No weather prediction?
Good. It was perfect yesterday, then it rains, right? It's all perfect, right? We said that day one.
How would you evaluate your first camp as the season coach?
I like where the guys are at, the personality that they're playing with, the volume that we're putting on their plates and how they're handling it. It's day to day, right? We're still in install and there's intentionality behind everything that we're doing, but everything that we're asking of them, they're handling it in the right way and kind of making it their own. So I'm pleased with where we're at right now, but it's every day's a challenge, right? We're breaking camp today. It's like what's the mentality? What it's going to look like today, right? Are they going to think about going back home? Or are they going to have best practice at camp today?
What are you looking for tomorrow, going into the new stadium for first chance, to really get a look at it from a field level and practice level?
I mean, shoot, I can probably take the whole press conference answering that question. There's so much that comes with it, right? It's our first time in the stadium. It's all of our first time in the stadium, right? I can ask you guys probably the same question. But I'm going to be looking at everything, just getting a feel of, hey, play clocks while I'm calling it. Hey, vantage points from lights, and hey, how's the wind feel? There's so many things just from my perspective. And then for all of our guys, it's a great opportunity for them. We're kind of making it like a night game. So, hey, they're coming in early in the morning, going through a walkthrough. Obviously, that meeting is going to be talking about a lot of parking and all the stuff that we've kind of pushed along. But for everybody, it's kind of a trial run. I feel like I'm echoing right now. If that sounds bad, sorry. I want the guys to kind of get a feel of, all right, there's going to be traffic tomorrow. And when you show up to the game, go through all the emotions of trying to figure out the stadium, looking at all the things. And then now we got to go practice. I want it to be a practice. This isn't going to be hey, we're just putting the ball down into scrimmage the whole time. There's going to be enough emotions of figuring out all the environment and with all of that. So I still want the intentionality behind it's another install day. But just getting in the stadium and getting the environment and those guys going through that repetition of having to practice at 7 p.m. now, that's a long-winded, but like I said, there's so many thoughts going through my head with tomorrow.
Will it also be useful from a communication standpoint for you and your coaching staff, guys in the booth, and what you want this to look like on game day?
Yeah, everything. There's going to be some things are going to be a little different, right? Like Pete Carmichael's not going to be there, and it's driving him crazy, but I was like, you're going to the Hall of Fame, right? Drew Brees, you don't get a lot of opportunities to be at the Hall of Fame. Craig Robertson as well. So there's some coaches that it might not be exactly to a T, but if a guy has enough of an impact on a guy that he wants you there at the Hall of Fame, I'm going to make sure they're there. But outside of that, yeah, coaches are going to go up. Just working sideline communication. Today we'll work some sideline discipline and where offense is on the field and us have to change personnels and put them, just communicating with that. So everything it's coach's first time in it, right? And their vantage point from the box. And everything is going to be is intentional. We've had more meetings about this blue-red than probably anything in our, so we'll figure it out.
Joe, what's it been like just driving, just from, I guess, just a human perspective, just driving past the stadium and watching it go, go up from the ground up, and now just getting a chance to be in there. I mean, what's that journey been like over the last 3 years?
Yeah, it's been incredible to see it kind of go up. The whole time I was just hoping that we're going to get the coach in it, right? And I know it sounds crazy, but that's how this profession kind of works. But every time you go in there, you notice something else. And it's incredible. And I think it's such a special place for everybody in this community and this city. And I think it's going to be a stadium that people don't want to come play at. But it's important for us early to get a lot of exposure to it where we're not wowed by it when we walk in it, come regular season.
Hey Joe, it seems like there's momentum to get Osiris extended with his contract. I know you're not going to comment on that, but the importance of having that guy if it does get done, because he's played just about every 3 years already.
Yeah.
How important has he been? And how important is it to have him still here?
Yeah, Saibo, I mean, since day one, there was no hesitation when we drafted him, putting him out there, and he's handled it. I mean, he's one of the top guards in football, and like last year, he battled through so much and was out there with every injury and didn't blink. And he's as tough as it gets, and he's kind of the epitome of what we want, here. And so anytime, look, we have Josh Allen, and first and foremost, we got to keep him protected, keep him clean, and I believe you're going to win up front offensively, offensive line, defensive line, and Saibo's a critical component to that. So I know contract negotiations are always ongoing, and that's more of a being question, but we would love to have him here, for the foreseeable future.
Did he surprise you at all when he stepped right in day one as a rookie like that? Did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, I think anytime you try to put a lot on a rookie's plate, and we've always had the mindset, with a guy like Saibo and Keon and all these guys is like, let's go. Like, we don't need a grace period. We don't need let's make sure you got to go through the experience, and there's going to be ups and downs, but if you wait till week 14, if you wait till week 15 to count on a rookie, now you're putting a lot on them. And let's go through the bumps and bruises early and kind of go with it. And a guy like Saibo, I mean, he didn't blink to play every rep as a rookie, and he takes every rep in practice, and that's hard. And so he's we love Saibo here.
And then when you have Cotter, you guys locked up, Spencer Brown's under contract, how important is to have somebody in the middle there with that communication piece on the right side?
Yeah, continuity is huge. Look, we're going through right now, and not in a negative way, but in a positive way of, hey, we have a new left guard this year, and just the communication, everything that comes with it, schematically, just dialogue, speaking without speaking, just like, hey, just understanding how we're approaching blocks. And so anytime that we can have guys that are consistently together, it makes life a lot easier, and it allows, from a play calling standpoint, to know exactly what it's going to look like and know how a guy like Saibo approaches a block or Spencer approaches a block together, and from a game planning and matchup standpoint. So anytime we can have continuity, I think that always helps.
We've asked you so much about CJ. We see a big personality. What did you learn about him in that brief time he was hurt, and maybe the way he was around the team and his urgency to get back sooner, I think, than most of us thought he would?
I didn't give you guys a timetable. No, CJ just wants to be out on the football field, right? And I want him to be his personality, right? And I want him to be himself. And then when you get on the football field, you're doing it with us. And you can tell he was frustrated. Sometimes you get guys that are vets. He's played in the league a long time. Sometimes vets are like, hey, I'm injured right now. I can get my body right, and I'll be ready to go when it's time to go. And he was doing everything he had to do to get back on the football field, and so that he can get back in with the guys and be able to, get with Cole and understand how they can just look at each other and know what the rotation is going to be and those things. So there's a reason he's here, right? And it was good to see him back out there yesterday.
Specifically, since the pads have come on, what have you seen from Jude Bowery?
That he's a rookie that doesn't blink, and I was proud. Like I hate the fighting, I do hate it, but I also would rather them go. And as much as I hated some of it, because I do think we waste practice, but it's the first day of pads, and I'm pointing the thumb at myself from maybe a team meeting of kind of letting them, talking to them, but. I was pleased with some of the rookies that were like, you know what, here we go. A lot of times a rookie doesn't do something day one, and the vets are like, hey, don't ever let that happen again. So, I felt like anybody that was involved in something day one was a rookie, and a guy like Jude, he's strong, he's powerful. We're putting a lot on his plate as well. We obviously have two of the top tackles in football. So a little different than Saibo's situation in the past, where he's not coming in day one and he has to just, hey, he's starting and he's rolling, but he's handling it the right way, very bright, and it was good to see the pads come on and him not do anything differently.
Coach, Ian Wheeler, talk about him. What has he brought to your team? UFL, United Bowl MVP. Also, how's he added depth to your running back?
He goes, and he doesn't talk a lot, but he goes 100 miles an hour on the football field, and I know sometimes people think the running back position is easy to learn, but we put a lot on our running backs, both protection, motion, shifts, the details with our footwork, and he didn't get an off season, and to come in here and be able to take valuable reps and not blink and take the coaching. Very pleased, and it's obviously how we played in the UFL, so great addition for us.
Joe, How many times have you replayed Josh's throw to DJ? Or yeah, DJ?
Haven't played it since, but it's one of the most impressive. It was a practice rep, but one of the most impressive throws I've ever seen live. He made the right read, everything about it, But those are ones that it's going to be on teach tapes for years to come. Like when we're teaching the concepts in terms of safety takes it away, you're throwing it over top of the safety, but and then you got to beat the drop kick corner, but. Those are things that I would love for it to be a game tape moving forward.
What does that say? Just what does that do for or what does that say about the chemistry that the two have consistently grown to develop? I mean, just Josh having the trust to throw that up there.
Yeah, well, that's what we have to go through right now. Like, there's times where I'm wanting us to pull the trigger and get a feel of what that looks like, and like, hey, can we take a chance at that? Like, even if that ball was incomplete, I'd be like, good, I'm liking that we're taking that shot. We got to get a feel of, shoot, when that ball left his arm, I didn't think he was going to be able to get under it. I thought he overthrew it. But you see a burst, and so it's learning each other and figuring out. Like, a lot of people, there's so many things that go on to throwing a deep ball. And every receiver is a little different in terms of how they have to play it. There's so many dimensions to it, and us figuring out who those people are as we go through it. But I was pleased that he took the chance, and the way that he tracked. I mean, that was a Willie Mays type of catch, and there's no way in hell I would have been able to do that. So it was impressive.
Jordan Hancock had a really nice day yesterday.
Yep.
Last year it was trying to fit him in safety, nickel, kind of where he fits. Seems like he's been more in the nickel role. How's that settled him down a little bit to be able to kind of fully grow a little bit this year? Yeah, it's cool to see because it's a guy that didn't get an off season at all, and that's in a new system that's really hard. And a guy coming off a rookie year, like different than a guy like TB who's played a lot of football. You got a guy like Hancock that's like, man, I want to get out there, but I can get mental reps, but it's different. And then what position am I playing? How is this going to kind of work? And we've been working a little bit 3 safety packages to kind of get him down there in the nickel position. And I mean, he had a blitz yesterday that. It was as violent as I've seen, and I loved it, right? And so it's good to see a guy that's not, coming off of injury, not being there's no hesitation, flying around, making plays. And so he's figuring out what that niche is, and we're asking a lot of him, moving him around. We ask a lot. Our nickel plays a lot of different roles. So to be able to play safety, play nickel, and then contribute on special teams. But it was cool to see him fly around yesterday, make some plays.
How do you feel like the defense as a whole, as a group, has adjusted to everything that Jim is putting on the plate? He talked about a lot of volume. How have they adapted to that?
Yeah, they don't blink, and I like the chemistry and the connection of how they're playing, right? And you can see they care about each other. You sit in the unit meetings, you can point things out in the team meeting as a guy makes a play and seeing them celebrate each other's success, and that's important to me. And look, they take coaching if there's a clip that shows up, and I feel like, hey, I didn't like how this guy ran to the football. The next day you can see everybody like they're taking the coaching, and so. Yeah, I think Jim's doing a great job. It allows me to. I put a lot of trust in him, and whatever message I get across, he's all about it. And but I love how the guys are playing right now. And yeah, there's MAs, there's going to be busts, there's going to be mistakes, but just like on offense, like some of those things, I sit there and I write it down. I'm like, that's good, because now we can coach it up, talk through it. Hey, see what we got to do differently. So putting a lot on their plates. We'll continue to dial back as we go, but now that pads are on, it gives us a great opportunity to see kind of what these guys can do.
You guys used a lot of 13 personnel, mostly early last season before Dalton's injury kind of crept in. Curious how you saw that trio of tight end create problems for defenses, how it can moving forward.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I think you have a lot of different skill sets in the tight end position room, and I've said it all along. It's football. When I was in New Orleans, it was day one. It was base defense versus base offense, right? It was 12 personnel, 21. You didn't, maybe not necessarily 13, but teams ran so much base defense, and then you got to nickel. And nowadays, a lot of teams just play nickel at everything they do, and so a lot of the big packages started to disappear a little bit. And now that everybody's playing so much nickel, I think forcing them to have to get into groupings that they might not be working day one, as long as it's something that you can execute at a high level, it gives you an advantage. And so. I thought 13 personnel. Now look, 13 personnel was a tick up in a lot of, some teams last year, and it's probably going to go up for a lot of the teams that weren't doing it. And so it's like, hey, what's next? But we have such unique room in that tight end room that you can do a lot of different things with it.
Well, Matt, Max be out there today? Saw him off to the side a little bit towards the back.
Yeah, no, Max will be out today. We're trying to just be precautionary with some of the stuff with guys coming off a 3rd and 7+ day, but it's not nothing that we're concerned about.
Hey, where's Landon Jackson in his transition to adding 20 pounds and looking like he's Mr. Adonis out there?
That's a good comparison. That's probably not what I've said, but I like it. No, he's probably, for any player on our football team, it's been the hardest transition for him. Maybe in a more natural way, but you're asking a guy that he's a rookie right now. Because he's having to do things that he wasn't asked to do last year, completely different techniques, playing a different position. Now, some of the stuff he was used to going back to LSU and Arkansas, but asking him to gain weight, to play the 4-eye, to play in the 3 technique, to handle blocks certain ways, it's a huge transition. And but he's embraced it. He's loved it since day one when I got the job and Jim got the job and we sat down and talked to him about our vision, what we were looking for and moving forward. He's been all about it, and it's good to see him with pads. I mean, he's big, he's long, he's powerful, and I think he's one of those guys that you can play in a lot of different roles.
Coach, I know you said you don't like the shoving or like one-face punching in practice, but it was all rookies involved. I have a feeling like it's maybe not the last time like Caleb was involved in one of those. Like, did you know when he came in that he was so driven and so hungry? Because like even after practice, he just doesn't stop.
Yeah, no.
Stop working even when he can't.
Yeah, I can't get him to smile. Look, I love that about him, right? I have no issues. You're all about football, and he goes. I remember him on his 30 visit. Like, he was pissed off the whole time too. Like, that's just who he is. Like, I can't tell one guy to be themselves and then him be like, dude, you got to loosen up. Like, if that's who he is, that's who he is. And when he goes out on the football field, fly around and putting a lot on his plate, and like, he's making mistakes out there just like everybody else. But like, no different. Like, fights are going to happen. I don't want it to happen. I would prefer how that fight happened to not happen. But he's a physical guy. He's every single time there's a ball, he's punching his stick and trying to get the ball out. So I'd much rather that than the other way around. But yeah, you guys probably aren't going to get much out of him. And look, from a linebacker position, freaking, I love that. Awesome. Thank you guys.